We have the Hepburn Bill. The Hepburn Bill was passed to amend the Sherman Antitrust Act, so only unreasonable restraints would be illegal. Also part of the Hepburn Bill is that the federal government offered licenses to companies, but licenses were voluntary. The federal government cannot intervene in strikes and unions. Roosevelt liked the bill, but it was never passed. Well, in 1912, we had Taft, the Republican, running for his second term. We had Woodrow Wilson, the Democrat, running for his first term. We had Eugene Debs, a socialist, who seems to run every 4 years. And then we had Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt, when he left after 8 years, handpicked Taft to be his successor. He didn't like what Taft was doing, so he comes back to run against Taft, and the Republicans tell Teddy Roosevelt, nope, Taft's our man, go away. We finally got rid of you. So Teddy Roosevelt starts his own party, sometimes known as the Progressive Party, sometimes known as the Bull Moose Party. Well, Roosevelt is thus going to split the votes with Taft. Debs, the socialist, has no chance, and so Woodrow Wilson becomes our next president. His progressive platform name is New Freedom. New Freedom was a regulation of big business, but a decentralization of states' rights. Lower tariffs, and institute programs to break the power of Wall Street. TR's idea was called New Nationalism, managing through regulation without breaking up the large trusts. Well, Woodrow Wilson said that we need to lower the tariffs, no more protection for big business. He helped create the Federal Trade Commission to look at restraint of trade. In 1914, to replace Teddy Roosevelt, the Bureau of Corporations. The Federal Trade Company had 5 members. They would define what, quote, unfair trade practices were. They would issue cease and desist orders, subject to judicial review, full supreme powers, orders companies to show their company records. A similar version to the Hepburn Bill. And then we have the Clayton Antitrust Act. Outlawed interlocking directories. Interlocking directories were when the board of directors of one company were also the board of directors of a different company. Thus, clearly, those two companies are working together. It outlawed price discrimination. It outlawed dealers from dealing, with trying to limit competition. And then finally, Woodrow Wilson created the Federal Reserve System in 1913. The Federal Reserve consisted of 12 national districts. All national banks became members of the Federal Reserve, and all could deposit their money to the Federal Reserve banks. The reserve system then took over loans and distributed money. This was a clear way to regulate inflation and deflation. Absolutely wonderful example of the progressives' idea that the economy is way too important to be left unregulated. Or if you prefer, the idea was the economy is like the seasons. It's cyclical. It changes over time. And there's nothing you can do about it. You cannot not stop the heat and humidity from showing up in summer. That's what's going to happen. You cannot stop the snow from falling in January. That's going to happen. Well, that's the economy. Can't do anything about it. Well, Wilson is going to start to reverse that. That not only can you do something about the economy, but you should, to try to make those lows not as low. And of course, many people, most who call themselves conservatives, don't believe that business should be regulated, doesn't believe that Wall Street should be regulated. These people called regulations, quote, job killers. And they want to get rid of these and other regulations that I'll be talking about. So, how how was the United States before any regulations, before the federal government got involved in any aspect of the economy? Well, about 90% had nothing, and about 10% had everything. We had an exceptionally unstable economy. When things got bad, it hurt a little bit the wealthy, but it devastated the poor. And we're also talking about a time in which there's no social services. There's no assistance. There's no social safety net. So if we do away with regulation, well, we're going back to the Gilded Age, in which you are on your own.